for people who may not be aware of Bashar and
Mhm.
his relationship to you and where he comes from, in if we were going to put it in chronological time,
Sure.
I understand that's not so
Yeah, it's
applicable, but
relative. Yeah.
for people who are listening who don't know that, can you give us a little bit of background?
Sure. Well, again, the idea is that from a linear space-time perspective, one would say he's in our future. From a linear space-time perspective regarding spirit, one could say he is one of my future lives and I am one of his past lives. Now, he has a lot to say about the mechanics of how that works, because from his perspective, everything exists at the same time and that the
Now.
past and the future are illusions. Nevertheless, speaking from a typical linear space-time framework, it's like he's an extraterrestrial civilization that exists, what he has said to be about 300 years in our future. However, they come from a parallel reality.
Right.
And that parallel reality operates at a completely different frequency than ours does, which he has said is 10 times faster than ours. That means that sociologically, spiritually, technologically, they're actually 3,000 years ahead of us.
Right. I mean, you could say
compared to our
biologically
perspective.
too, right? I mean, if
And
it's
biologically.
right.
So, that can get a little tricky when trying to discern the,
Yeah.
space-time issues that have to
Right.
do with this. But really the channeling is just a matter of having been trained to get on a certain brainwave frequency that's closer to the frequency they operate on.
Yes.
And therefore he does the same in his, in his direction, trying to get closer to
To
our
us, yeah.
frequency. And when the frequencies get close enough, they kind of lockstep, like two tuning forks that are attuned to each other and cause each other to vibrate. So what's happening in a channeling between us is not that he's here. It's not that he's possessing the body. These are outdated, old-fashioned concepts. It's that I'm vibrating at a similar frequency, and therefore his thoughts are the same as my thoughts at that point. And therefore I'm acting as a translation device. My thoughts become linked at the same frequency and have the same kind of thoughts that he has when he's at that frequency too. So I'm a biological translator for what's coming from him because I'm operating on a similar frequency.
Yeah.
That's the mechanics, as he's explained, of how telepathy works and all that stuff. No one is reading anyone else's mind. You're actually only reading your own mind. But if you're operating on a similar frequency as someone else, you're going to have exactly the same kind of thoughts as the other person at the same time, synchronistically. That's why, as he's explained it, people who are in love often know exactly what each other is thinking. They finish each other's sentences all the time because they're having the same thoughts, because they're on the same wavelength.
Right. They're totally entrained. And, yeah.
But if you want to look at it again spiritually, linearly, we could say, we're the same soul in two different time frames.
Right.
And that's why it's easy for us to be compatible with one another and provide this service, provide this channeling function.